What's up, Internet, and welcome back to the Engadget Podcast. I'm Senior Editor Devendra Hardawar, this week joined by podcast producer Ben Elman. Hey, Ben.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, we are back. Sorry for missing an episode last week. I was diagnosed with pneumonia. It's not fun. I'm still recovering from that, so if I sound a little hoarse or out of breath this episode, just, bear with me here. But we're going to be talking about the recent trial that Mark Zuckerberg testified for in LA. This is a landmark trial, basically for social media. An anonymous user has sued the company, saying that Instagram basically caused her serious mental harm. And there are tons of other cases tied to this one as well. So Zuckerberg actually testified this week. We talked a bit about it a couple of weeks ago, too. And we've got some details about that. And also the Ramageddon, still going. And I think the implications of that also seem kind of scary too. So we will dive into all of those things. As always, folks, if you're enjoying the show, please be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. Leave us a review on iTunes, drop us an email at podcast@engadget.com. We've got a couple emails to get through, so I definitely want to hit those up soon. And you can join us Thursday mornings, typically around 10:30 a.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel. And watch our live stream. Sometimes we'll show off gadgets and sometimes we'll do Q&A. Let's get right into the main story. Were there any takeaways for you, Ben, seeing how Zuck testified? Because the reports were that it was just kind of combative, right?
It was combative. Let's also totally set the
Hmm.
table here. This
Yeah.
is a trial on social media addiction, and this could be a real landmark because this is kind of like 1,600 other
Hmm.
cases that have been mixed down into just this one case. It's not necessarily a class action. It's just like people have been suing these social media companies for very similar things, um, claiming that social media in general, not just Instagram, but TikTok and Snap and other platforms, have fomented like body dysmorphia and negative feelings, depression, suicidal ideation, so on and so on from there.
All those bad stories you've heard over the years, they've kind of culminated in this like one thing. There's also a trial going on in New Mexico as well, tied to Meta. So they're facing it. They're facing it on multiple fronts right now. I think the main thing here that's kind of interesting is that I believe the prosecution or the people suing are really saying the issue here is that Instagram itself or Meta is kind of a defective product, so they're not going at it through the Section 230 standard, right? They're not trying to say, hey, you were responsible for what people say. They're saying, hey, this thing that you have designed works in bad ways. And that's kind of interesting too. I haven't seen that argument before against social media.
It's true.
Hmm.
And I was also doing some reading to figure out how close this is to the US v. Philip Morris case from the 90s. Um,
Yeah.
and what I didn't know, because I was a small child at the time, was that the Philip Morris USA case was a RICO case.
Yeah. Go watch The Insider. That movie still rules. And it's entirely
I'm
about
going to make a note of that.
Michael Mann's The Insider. Incredible, incredible movie. We used to have movies about, people going to war against the tobacco companies. And it was serious drama, damn it. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
all I've seen is like, thank you for smoking. And that was from the other side of it. But
Hmm.
the big difference that I think I can identify between the US v. Philip Morris case and this case
Hmm.
against social media and specifically Meta, um, in this case, KGM, the plaintiff who I think was a minor at the time, which
Hmm.
is why her name is anonymized. Now she's about 20 years old, but still going by the anonymized initials. Initially sued basically all of the major American social media platforms. TikTok and Snap settled out of court.
Hmm.
So it's really just Meta and Google that are left. And Meta is getting most of the heat because of the fact that it owns Instagram. Getting back to Philip Morris, though,
Hmm.
the Philip Morris trial, I think, was done as a RICO case mostly because the tobacco concern was much more established and had done clinical research that found, hey, this thing that we're making is both addictive and bad for people's health,
Yeah,
and then just buried that information.
yeah, for
In the
decades.
case of
Yeah.
social media, we don't quite know. There is like a growing body of evidence saying spending too much time on social media is not necessarily a good thing for you, but it's not like the horse is that far out of the barn.
Hmm.
The tobacco companies knew this for decades
Hmm.
and kept it buried.
Yeah.
S-
Yeah, what's interesting here is like they are really trying hard to argue against the whole addiction narrative. And last week Carissa got some good quotes from experts. Let me see here. There was one here. Social media addiction is not currently listed as a diagnosis in the DSM-5 TR, but that does not mean it doesn't exist. The APA told us in a statement. And basically, we have another quote from a doctor who says the same thing. Just because it is not seen as a clinical diagnosis right now doesn't, it just means we have not fully defined it. But we have seen the effects of people who have been addicted to these things. It's an interesting argument too, because people have been talking about this for a long while, and it feels like the social media companies have just defied all odds, right? They have not really faced any consequences for designing these things to be just basically engagement factories, right? Like Instagram, Facebook, the whole thing. And we've reported on this for years. Like it's just about getting people to stay on the site, never leave the ecosystem. That's all these companies want. Now Zuckerberg is saying they just want to be useful. They don't want to be addictive. They want to be useful. And I find that a little hard to believe because I've seen their earnings reports for decades. I've seen them talk about these things, and engagement is the key. Engagement is all they've ever wanted. This is a company that has, I don't think, ever fully reckoned with the harms that it's caused its users. And yeah, just kind of all culminates in this one thing. It's do you have any response like based on what Zuck has been saying in that in the test in his testimony, Ben? Like we have a couple quotes from other sites who were there, people who were on the ground in LA.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, again, getting back to like the
Mhm.
Philip Morris aspect. Like this is kind of similar to a situation where, let's say, the big tobacco concern was brought into a courtroom as it was engineering cigarettes to be addictive.
Mhm.
Um, and you were able to subpoena and go through legal discovery and find documents saying, like, what we want to do is like concentrate the amount of nicotine in cigarettes.
Yeah. We want to
We
get people
have
very high.
documents saying we want to increase the amount of time
Yeah.
that people are spending on social media. Um, we want to increase the stickiness of the apps and total time spent.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, in the courtroom, Zuck was asked, "What do you consider addiction to be? You know, is it involuntary?" And he's like, "Well, I guess in the short term, it was a very evasive answer."
If something is valuable, people will use it more because then it's useful to them, he said. That's a really funny way of just reframing this because again, all these companies, all they've ever talked about is engagement. They shout it from the rooftops, telling their investors, engagement is up. We want engagement. How many daily active users do we have? How many monthly active users do we have? How long do people spend within the app? These are the metrics they've been boasting for a long time. Basically, since Facebook has gone public, that's kind of been the thing. So I don't believe this utility argument at all. We're going to see more from this. Like this isn't the end. I also saw as Zuck was entering the court, somebody ran up and served him papers too, like on the way. So good on that person to like make a connection.
uh,
So we're gonna see probably something else come from that, or that could just be settled. Who knows? But it's give this man no peace. Give this man no peace on his Hawaiian island and his compound in Silicon Valley and whatever, because it is built entirely on user suffering to a certain degree. And it still irks me when he was like, I'm not going to apologize anymore for things we have done as a company or things I have said. He just doesn't want to apologize. Okay, well, then pay up. If you don't want to apologize, we'll see where this all leads. Anyway,
But
we will.
Devindra, we haven't
Yeah.
talked about the poster yet. Did you hear about
What
the
about the poster?
30-foot long poster that the plaintiff's lawyer
Yes. Yeah.
unfurled in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
courtroom?
Good optics. Good optics there. Yeah.
It took multiple people to hold up. It was like 36 feet long,
Mhm.
according to Bobby Allen, who got in touch with the plaintiff's lawyer. No, excuse me,
Mhm.
35 feet
Yeah.
long,
Yeah.
and included all of the posts done by the plaintiff, some of which were probably, look, fishing for likes. So everybody was looking for like social media validation. And I think the main question is, how much stronger is that, and how might that end up rewiring your brain
Mhm.
if you end up getting on to social media as young as 10 or 11,
I think she was
because
6.
Instagram's internal documents
Yeah. Yeah.
in the trial said the way that we get to teens is by getting them as preteens and tweens.
Even though they are not allowed to create accounts until they're 13, and in some states 16, like the kids will
That
always get
was
away. Yeah.
before 2019 or so.
Yeah.
Like they only recently instituted the age filter there. And I mean, talk about age filters, we're not even going to touch the Discord aspect of things, facial
Yeah.
recognition and all of that. If you're not using a added like layer of analysis though, what is it? It's just like a drop down menu to
I mean, essentially,
decide
are you
when your birthday is.
yeah,
Just
decide.
tick it a few years earlier and boom, you're on Instagram.
I think from what I read, this user was using social media since she was 6, so she had access to it as well. Part of the argument against her is that potentially she was dealing with home life issues and other things that could have caused mental illnesses. So it's not just, it's not just the social media, is what the defense is kind of arguing. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what's going on here. Also interesting in the reporting, apparently the judge was like telling people, do not record on your Ray-Ban glasses, please.
Hmm.
Like, they have to deal with all this other stuff, and now it's people walking in with recording devices, and apparently they're worried that people are going to be recording the jury or trying to identify people, which is no,
With
you
facial
can't do that.
recognition, which is nuts. I saw someone in the comments
Mhm.
earlier this morning say, "Oh, well, you could just put the jury behind one-way glass. The jury needs to see the courtroom, but the courtroom doesn't need to see the jury."
This is
That's terrifying.
it's terrifying. Also, why does the world have to freaking reorient itself around your freaking pervert glasses? Like, this is why I was like, oh, those things were interesting at first when it was mainly for the headphone stuff. But the more and more we see the effect of pervasive surveillance, especially like stuff that can be easily hidden, it's disgusting. It's not going to lead. It's leading to bad things in general. That's a whole separate argument. Anyway, we're going to be following this trial for a while, for its entirety,
Yeah,
and we'll
week
definitely
2
be
of
bringing it
6,
back on.
so we're probably going to get some kind of answers, hopefully in late March, but that is assuming that the trial is not delayed for whatever reason.
Tangential news, though, Meta is reportedly planning to release a smartwatch later this year. And I do wonder, like, there was, I think it was a couple years ago, we reported that they had plans on like a smartwatch with a camera or something, or multiple cameras that they shelved. Why would Meta do a smartwatch now? Kind of interesting that this is coming back up. Do you have any thoughts, Ben?
I think that they might want to do it as a way of distributing computer power for a AR glasses situation. So you might be able to install an app that uses a bit of like
Mm-hmm.
processing power from your phone, and then you also have your watch, and that helps everything go. This
I
is
could see that. There won't be like at this point the level of processing you could just fit into the glasses. It
Well,
wouldn't
okay, so
actually.
you've got the
Yeah.
onboard
Yeah.
glasses silicon, then you've got the watch silicon, and
Mhm.
you possibly have some stuff from a phone, and that should make a pretty powerful combined computing platform
Hmm.
worn on your body.
The thing I'm thinking is that, you know what, you guys know I'm not really into smart rings, and there's a lot of wearables. Like, I think just fundamentally are limited by their size and the technology that's available today in freaking physics. Um, the thing about a smartwatch is that is actually a relatively large piece of space, and we're seeing that happen with the Apple Watch, right? It's getting smarter and smarter. You've got GPS, you've got cellular, you've got health tracking, but also onboard AI stuff. I do wonder if they're looking at like what Apple could do with
Mm.
the onboard AI on Siri and just be like, talk to your watch instead of like talk to Meta here. I think that's the main thing. Like everything they're doing now is AI powered. So we all want to be freaking Dick Tracy, or for me, it's Michael Knight. It's like Michael Knight in Knight Rider with his watch talking to his self driving car. That was my dream forever. I feel like at the very least they would try to see if they could do something around that, right?
Yeah, but is Kit just open claw? Big questions unanswered right now.
We need more AI with SAS. Maybe how about that? Uh, no, Kit was a proprietary closed source operating system, unique to the Knight Foundation. He was not open source at all. Not at all. There were many problems.
But I think that gets us into another thing we really wanted to talk about
Hmm.
today, which is the AI industry gobbling up the like elemental
Hmm.
units of computing and what that might do to the entire industry. Be-
Not just the industry, but we are seeing the scope of this pushing out now. Not just like computing. I think we were saying computing is screwed, right? Personal computing could be screwed this year. Now it's
Mhm.
more and more. It's like all consumer electronics, everything could be kind of hosed because of this, because everything uses RAM. But yeah, was there anything else
It's
you want to say?
RAM,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
storage, it's like literally again the like elemental things that you need to make a computer to go. And you posted a Blue Sky post
Hmm.
by Chris Person saying like, I understand that the framing of the AI bubble RAM supply crisis in terms of like stuff like video games is so nerds can understand it better. But you know what else uses RAM and storage? MRI machines.
Yeah.
It's not just personal computing and it's not just consumer electronics. It's what if something breaks down in a hospital and then you need to repair it? That ends up being much more expensive. And I mean, everybody jokes about the wonky hospital accounting there is here in the US, but imagine having a, you know, let's say 4 terabyte HDD or something put into an MRI machine. Is that going to cost $600,000 to um not individual patients, but like across the hospital? Is that going to end up being exorbitantly expensive and bits of that cost end up being passed to individual patients? Who
Could
knows?
be. Could be. I mean, our medical system, like they will nickel and dime you for everything. So that could easily be the way it goes. But even like within I saw a report saying that potentially the PlayStation 6 may the launch of that, which is currently expected like mid 2027, could be pushed later. We could
Hmm.
be seeing like things in general that we expect to work in a cycle just be pushed much later than before
The
than we
Steam
expect.
machine.
The Steam machine has already been delayed. Valve has admitted that it doesn't have enough hardware for Steam Deck OLEDs because of the RAM crisis. So, at the beginning of the year at CES, we were like, this is really going to be the year of buying used and refurbished stuff, folks, because new things may just start to disappear. But I also think that may be happening faster than we think too. And I've seen people speculate that entire companies whose businesses rely on like who rely on RAM and who rely on producing these things, the smaller companies will just overall die out. So that could be small PC builders, that could be small little third party accessory makers. There may be some sort of like winter of electronics and overall products that we may just not get new things for a couple of years. Could be happening to cars as well, because a lot of companies were having trouble getting all the gear they need to make for cars, especially
Yes, let's
electric
not
cars.
forget that cars are also consumer electronics.
Cars are computers and consumer electronics, um, to a certain degree. Like, I do worry about the companies that are dying off and the people that will lose their jobs, but also to a certain degree, it's like we have been so hyper fixated on every year faster stuff, right? Faster processor, new iPhone, and everything. Maybe a bit of cold water on everybody. Be like, hey, chill. Just hold on to your device for like a year or two longer while we sort out this whole industry mess. Maybe that's a good thing for everybody, but it's hard to tell, because that good that once you slow down the wheel of progress, right, and the wheel of capitalism, like, people lose jobs, people lose money, and
Yep.
that's going to hurt people for sure. So
Yep. Yep.
I don't know. I don't
And
know. Yeah. What do you think?
the effect of Ramageddon on smaller companies is something
Mhm.
that we were talking about in relation to this PC Gamer article that I found of, is it pronounced fission? Phison?
Yeah.
A interview done entirely in Chinese, um, translated by a third party, where this CEO is like, "Hey, like there might be some companies that just like completely go out of business
Hmm.
because we can't do anything." And when you talk about RAM orders, it's these companies, these what, 3 companies
Hmm.
that make all the RAM, know what the capacity of their factories is. And the large behemoth um, hardware manufacturers
Yeah.
of the world have already put in their orders. Now you also have these enormous venture-backed AI companies also trying to put in orders. So if you are a kind of like Etsy electronics company, literally or figuratively, who's putting in orders on a magnitude that are far lower, probably maybe a couple of orders of magnitude lower than some of these enormous companies, it's really easy to understand that the RAM makers might be like, "Hey, man, I don't know what we're going to do, but we don't have anything for you right now."
They're just, yeah, you just do not have products. I see people talking about like going back to older types of RAM right now, like back to DDR4 type stuff, because it's less in demand. We may see some of that, and that's like a weird Battlestar Galactica type of thing too, like a scaling back in hardware because of the AI, because you got to go back to the old ways of doing things. From what we have seen, Nvidia and AMD, and basically everybody tied to them, they have basically bought out the memory orders, terabytes worth. When we were covering stuff at CS, like the big AI data center hardware, the Nvidia announced, just gobbles of RAM, just taking up all the RAM. And it's all for this thing. It's all for AI, and I'm still like not sure how much AI will be hit at all. All I'm seeing is people like freaking out about the things that AI could actually interfere with. Like, there was that clip of Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt fighting, the AI fighting clip that's 15 seconds long, created by a Chinese, you know, AI
That
model.
might have been ByteDance's model, was it?
Yeah, that was ByteDance's model, and Hollywood is freaking out. And everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is the end of everything." First of all, looks like garbage. It does not actually look like a good fight scene. And then the revelation that came actually is that that was actually a fight scene that was shot traditionally, and the AI essentially just face mapped two stunt performers going at each other. So it's not like it created the thing out of whole cloth either. So it's not as capable as they said it was. Um, but people are freaking out about the potential of it, and that seems like the overall impact of where things are going, right? Like, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of money being invested in AI, there's a lot of uncertainty in industries where we don't know how this stuff is going to actually shape out. We're already seeing thousands, tens of thousands of jobs being lost because companies want to rely on AI tools. So yeah, if you say I'm too
I
negative
mean,
about AI,
but
it's because of stuff like this. Yeah.
are people being laid off because they want to rely on AI tools, or is it that they want to do layoffs and they're saying that it's AI?
Why not both? Why
¿Por
it's
qué no
all
los
the same
dos?
things. It's all the same thing. Like it's the companies who want to do the layoffs, just like the return to office mandate stuff. Oh, too bad you don't want to come back. I guess you lose the job now, and we don't have to lay you off traditionally. But it's also because companies are trying to do a lot of work with AI, and they think it will work out. Even though there have been studies, there was a recent Harvard Business Review piece saying AI is actually making you work harder and more intensely, and also like yeah, the worries too that the work is not as good, so you have to pay more attention to it as well. It all comes back to AI. This is the year of like the AI reckoning, I guess. So that's the Ramageddon for you. We definitely will continue reporting on this, but it doesn't look good. If you're building a computer, if you're maybe just wait for a while or hold out for a deal or buy refurbished or used.
Last question,
Mm,
and it's pretty similar to what you just said. Are we going to go back to shucking? Are we going to be
mm,
buying other things, opening them up, and then taking what components we want out of them?
I mean, it depends on what if that thing has the RAM, that thing is already expensive. So there is no value in shucking. Like
Hmm.
that, like the RAM modules you need for PCs and stuff will already be an expensive hardware. You can't just find it in random things. But I don't know, that's like the cyberpunk future. I've always thought that we could head to as things start to collapse. But yeah, the outlook is not great right now. That's the Ramageddon. We will definitely. I'll come back to this because it feels like we will keep seeing examples of this. The PS6 getting delayed by a year. Whatever happens with Microsoft's next hardware, it all
Allegedly.
is
Let's
stuck.
make sure that
Yeah,
we put a asterisk on that.
yeah.
But I mean, Steam Machine is delayed, so big shrug on basically every other major consumer electronic,
Mhm.
especially something like a PS6, because they need to make millions of those at launch
Well,
or
yeah,
to be
for
available at
six
launch.
months ahead of launch. Like, yeah, they need to
Yeah.
get started on that. Um, we shall see. All right. Do we
Okay.
want to take some
So
questions?
yeah, let's take some
Yeah.
questions. So DPro9 says C Dance 2.0, which is ByteDance's AI model that we were just talking about, is the end of Hollywood. Okay. I mean, you were just
No,
saying that like C Dance was actually not that great to your eye,
I mean
but I
they'd like
guess it
it to be.
depends on what you're talking about too. Like,
I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Like people are freaking out that it's the end of Hollywood, but look at the clip. It's not. It's not good. It's cool that it kind of looks like Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, and Tom Cruise's face is, I believe, trademarked. Like it couldn't be in games and stuff. Like it's he's very particular about that. But I mean, that's great. What does that mean? Like this is the thing about AI boosters that I don't understand. It's like, oh yeah, this is going to destroy everything. This is going to destroy this entire industry. Is that good? Is that a good thing that you actually want to see? Because what that means is worse art. What that means is worse movies. Like that's what you're championing is a dystopian future where humans are less involved in making the art and we are just watching slop. So there's room for AI media at some point, like we're already seeing it. I see it within commercials and stuff. This was just a bad scene with face mapping. Also, as a fight scene, boring as shit. The choreography, real bad. The cutting, too fast. No wide angles. This is a bad way of doing a fight scene. Don't tell me this is the end of Hollywood if it's just a bad fight scene?
it would be nice if you and people like you were the only ones making the decisions,
Oh yeah.
but it may end up being a situation where enough people are like, "Wow, we like this enough." It becomes kind of like the Soylent,
People watch
the
bad movies all the time. People watch bad movies with bad
okay,
choreography
but like
all the time.
there's a difference
Yeah.
between bad movies and movies that are done cheaply.
Is this going to be done cheaply? How much does AI cost? How many prompts did it take to render this, right? We are talking about the environmental cost of AI and everything. Um
But they're
Hollywood
not
thinks it's
thinking about the overall environmental cost unless they're forced to,
you're
unless they're
paying for
like,
it though. When you're paying for those AI tokens, you're going to be paying like heavy fees for that too. It would be cheaper to literally get a iPhone and shoot two stunt performers beating each other. It would look
mhm.
better than like rendering this in an AI prompt.
And
that's kind of the thing. Yeah.
meanwhile, Dpro's like, I finally get to make my cyberpunk zombie film, which, with all due respect, still has a whiff of
Yeah,
again.
again. You those are buzzwords and not an idea, like not a fully formed idea for a project, you know. Yeah. And the other thing is I think we are seeing audience rejection to this too. First of all, the unions are not fans, the actors are not fans. ByteDance is already in deep shit for this.
Okay, yeah, but like,
Yeah.
what does it matter if the US unions care that much about it? Because
Uh-huh.
I've seen so many things in the last 6 months, and like actors. I saw the actor that plays Badger on Breaking Bad talk very intelligently. And this is my fault for not being able to separate the actor from the character. But he was talking very intelligently about like, nothing's being shot in LA anymore.
Mhm.
If I want to work, I'm going out of the country. And probably a big reason why I'm going out of the country is because I don't have to deal with IATSE or any of the other behind the camera unions, which sucks.
It does suck, but also those jobs have always existed, you know. If you are a working actor, you still have to work within things that within like SAG and DGA rules and all those things, even if they're not shot in America. We are like Scarlett Johansson suing Disney, you know, and getting pissed off about how things how like the release schedule didn't work. Like the actors do care about their money too. They care about their image. They care about they are the product, right? There's a bit of a revolt there. Something I've noticed with my daughter and young kids too. They are clocking AI stuff all over the place. So kudos to their
Mm.
teachers who I think have made it part of their like media curriculum right now. But when I'm watching TikToks or YouTubes with my daughter, she can clock something and be like, "That's AI. That's not real." And also that's not that interesting, you know. So it remains to be seen like what the audience is for this stuff, but I'm not saying the sky is falling because like what we see is people respond to real genuine art created by humans. Like that is the stuff that gets people to theaters, that's the stuff that gets people to watch stuff on TV. I keep hearing we're going to have all these AI shows all over the place. I've yet to see 30 seconds of something that is like genuinely interesting.
Yeah.
You know, that Darren Aronofsky Revolutionary War series, huge crock of shit. Like it looks terrible. Um, it seems like all these people are just taking money from Google and other companies just to say they have an AI project. But that's
Last
bullet.
question before we
Yeah.
move on, though. When your daughter says
Mhm.
that's AI, does she do it with any um what's the word I'm looking for? Does she do it with like, does she have a good track record? Does she do it with
Mhm.
accuracy? Or is this
She's
something
7 years
like,
old. You know,
okay, well,
yeah,
yeah, so she's 7 years
but
old.
she's
So
clocking it. Like she
does
has the
she
awareness to be
clock
like, yeah.
like something that is CGI and then says that's AI and
Mhm.
is right like 50% of the time?
Oh yeah. I
That's the
mean,
question.
sometimes she will clock CGI stuff as AI too, but
Hmm.
also there is the super smoothness and the extra weirdness to the AI stuff that's kind of uncanny that I think makes it kind of easier to clock too. Like we were watching videos about like mythical animals and stuff, and you can see when somebody makes like an AI unicorn video versus when somebody put a horn on a horse or something. Like there are some clear differences there. Yeah.
Or like drew a unicorn in
Yeah.
some CGI rendering program or something.
Yeah. I
So
think the kids are all right.
Declan
Mhm.
says, my daughter was taught about AI in 5th grade. She
Mhm.
still gives out to me if she asks a question and I respond with the Google AI answer. She refuses to believe it and reminds me that I shouldn't.
There you go.
The kid might actually be all right. Good job, Declan's
I mean,
daughter.
this is the thing we've mentioned before, but I think it is the older generations who are more easily cooked
Oh,
by this stuff.
absolutely.
And like they're
100%.
already the ones being cooked by you know,
Facebook,
Facebook, but also
24-hour news.
the various fraud scams too. People within my family have been cooked by fraud scams. I'm like, what the hell? Why are you sending money to a crypto thing you don't even know what crypto is?
Yeah.
Um, and it happens. The kids don't have access to money. The kids don't have access to bank accounts, right? It's so much easier to cook the old folks who are not educated. Anyway, this is the battle. This is what we're fighting. So, that movie, the Gore Verbinski movie that just came out, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, literally an anti AI battle movie, but I also
Yep.
feel like it's going to resonate a lot with people.
Yep.
All right, we can move on with news.
Yep. Let's get to other news.
All right, we're going to blow through news real quick, folks. All right, let's move on to some other news. The big thing I think people are excited about, Apple announced that their next event is set for March 4th in New York and I believe London and Shanghai. So, kind of a multi city global thing. Um, Based on what we know and what the rumors are, there have been a lot of rumors about a low cost MacBook. Remember the MacBook? Not MacBook Air or MacBook Pro, just MacBook.
MacBook
It's coming.
Classic.
MacBook plain. Like that's it. I remember those things like the in the 90s and 2000s, like the little white MacBook that was like really tiny. That was a really good looking machine. So the rumor is that those sorry, the rumor is that those things will appear and will likely be powered by an A18 chip, so a mobile chip, not the Mac chip. And that's kind of interesting too. Like partially these are going to be low cost devices, maybe smaller than the MacBook Air. I'd be kind of impressed if they try to go back to like a 12-inch system that's super light, super cheap, maybe starting at $800 or so. Um, we know the iPhone chips are really, really powerful. So the A18, for a lot of people, from the benchmarks I've seen, kind of equivalent to the M1, maybe a bit to the M2. And we've talked about
Wow,
this.
really?
How much power do you need? How much,
Whoa.
like, to browse the web and do basic computing?
Mm-hmm.
So I think Apple's looking at that and being like, just put this cheaper chip, which we're already making, in this laptop and see what happens.
So,
So
assuming that
yeah,
this gets announced, can you give me a tier list of Apple's laptops? MacBook Pro is obviously up
mhm.
top, and then fill the rest of it out, please.
I mean, then MacBook Air in the middle, kind of
Mm-hmm.
like what's going on with iPad. It's going to be the iPad lineup. So base MacBook, cheaper device.
Mm-hmm.
MacBook Air, then
Basically,
MacBook
kind of like a netbook, like Chromebook situation.
kids. What's a netbook? I don't even think
Okay,
they say,
Chromebook.
they wouldn't even say Chromebook, right? Like this is no, it's a good computer.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, for the longest while, the 13-inch MacBook Air was like the go-to recommend computer for many people. Um, but that price, starting at $1,000, not great for everybody. So if Apple can drive that down to 700, 800 for a smaller machine, that's maybe more suitable for kids as well. I think that's like an instant hit. I think they've just been scared of like putting lower cost products out there because it means fewer people are going to be buying the Air and the MacBook Pro, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, there's always a question of like, is Apple cannibalizing like its own market with this thing or that thing? But like, the honest answer is, it has so much market that it doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
There are people who love all of these laptops, and you can only hope that the build quality of the MacBook Classic, like just plain MacBook that they might
Mhm.
be announcing, is probably going to be similar to everything else, which means that you could give it to a responsible child and or like an older adult or
Mhm.
something, and they could use it for like 7 or more years,
Yeah.
and it could really hold up.
I would say at least like 3 to 4 years, which is a good lifespan for a laptop. And we've talked about this. Like one thing
Depending
I've
on how
noticed too,
hard you use it, yeah.
yeah, one thing I've noticed too is that Apple is in a really good place to just steal Windows users. People do not really like Windows right now. There are a lot of issues with Windows laptops, and okay, make a cheaper MacBook that gets an even a bigger portion of that audience who's only looking at cheaper Windows laptops. Seems like an easy move for me. Um, Also, we're expecting to see the MacBook Pros with the new chips. We don't have an M5 Pro or M5 Max MacBook Pro yet, so those will likely appear, likely new iPads as well. So I'm going to be on the ground in New York for that day for this event. So I'm looking forward to trying these things out.
That's the terrible thing about needing a computer, like literally just needing a computer, period.
Hmm.
and then progress happens, and I got this M1 Pro MacBook in 2020, early 2022. At least I put in the order, and then it was like a little bit delayed because
Yeah.
electronics has had problems for a lot of the 2020s. If it wasn't the Ramageddon, the storage Mageddon, it was literally just supply chain issues. um
But you
but
had it like this is 4 years later, Ben, right?
yeah, this is
So
4 years later, and
from
I'm like, "Oh, okay, like I'd
no,
like to hold on to this for a little bit longer, but
it's
also
still a
like
good
this is my
computer.
main work thing,
Yeah.
and it could be time, who
That's
knows."
still a great, powerful computer. That could last you another year or two. And really, you could still run Apple Intelligence and all the other stuff. Like, there is no reason other than rendering time that you would need to upgrade, right? And you have
Yeah.
a decent chunk of RAM in there.
Oh yeah. No, I got 32 gigs because I wanted to future proof it a bit.
There you go. So you're good for a while. Next computer for your big time audio editing career, 64 gigabytes of RAM.
Oh,
Go
okay.
big. Go big. Get all the RAM you can, folks. Start hoarding that RAM.
Well, yeah, I
Also,
mean, fingers crossed, like the winds change and RAM gets cheaper, but who knows? Who knows?
yeah,
Anyway, we also have a Pixel 10 hands-on, but
Pixel
that Sam
10a.
wrote. Yes,
The
excuse me, Pixel 10a. This is the
the
cheaper
Pixel 10a
version.
has been announced. It's arriving March 5th. Hey, this is going to be a busy time, March 4th and 5th, for $500. It's another A phone. It's another A phone. That's it. It's $500. It uses the same chip as last year. Google's doing it again. So you're not getting a hardware bump. It uses the same camera as last year, same RAM as last year.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you can again, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. They're just like it's just like a minor refresh, you know? Like that's still those chips are still going to be fast enough. It has the same 6.3-inch OLED display, Tensor G4, 8 gigabytes of RAM. Um, the upgrade is battery life. Google's claiming more than 30 hours of battery life and up to 120 under battery saver mode. There's no built-in Pixel Snap stuff, so that's the magnet stuff that we like so much on iPhones. You will have to use a case for that. You get a
Hmm.
case with a magnet.
To
So,
get the Qi
mhm.
wireless power.
But it's a $500 phone. So there you go. And actually, at that Apple event, we will likely see the iPhone 17e,
Hmm.
the follow up to the 16e. Remember, this 16e is $600. Doesn't have MagSafe. Doesn't have a lot of the stuff we like about the iPhone. It would be interesting to see if Apple lowers the price on that, but they probably won't. Right? They're probably very happy with people spending a little more than a Pixel A phone.
And then just to close the loop on the
Mhm.
Google stuff, we also got the announcement that Google I/O is May 19th and 20th. Let me take that again. Google I/O is May 19th and 20th this year. So we'll see a bunch more stuff, probably a lot more AI related things. We'll see what Gemini can do in May.
When I read that, I just got this instant feeling of dread in my heart and in my soul. And I think because I remembered Google I/O last year, and it was Jimmy Fallon. It was the Jimmy Fallon show. It was like, oh God, we're gonna go through that again. But also, what a nothing burger of an event that was. Like, none of those announcements were really exciting or interesting, and Google had to like put on this dog and pony show to make us care about it. Okay, all right, we'll see what happens there. Do you want to talk about this Ring stuff, Ben? Because I know you had the story in here.
Oh yeah, yeah. So there was a email leaked to 404 Media that says that Ring was really openly planning to expand Search Party beyond dogs. We didn't have an episode
To
last
which we say
week.
no shit, by the way. Like,
Yeah, no, literally, it's
yes.
Fork Found in Kitchen. But we didn't have an episode last week, so let's quickly
Mhm.
recap what happened. Ring ran a Super Bowl commercial for Search Party, which is basically like you can use everybody's Ring cameras in the neighborhood to find a lost dog.
Mhm.
In the ad, you see like a dog wandering around, and as you can see on the live stream right now, like a little yellow square popping up saying, "That's Milo the golden retriever." Like, he's just a few doors down. We saved a dog. That's great. Yay. However, If you've done any research into Chinese smart cities, this like yellow box around a figure should freak you the hell out, because we've known for at least a decade now that the smart cities have been able to track people anywhere they go. If you step out onto the street, they can say, "Hey, there's that guy." And most people say, "Oh, well, I don't have any beef with the government. I don't have any problems right now. Why does it matter that, hey, there's that guy?" That's because you're not under investigation right now. You could be. So this happened on February 8th. That was Super Bowl Sunday. The public was generally creeped out. Good job, public. They also didn't like that Ring had a contract with Flock, aka Flock Safety, a security camera company that does license plate reading tech for Department of Homeland Security and ICE. Flock claims to be able to do 20 billion plate reads a month. And so if you don't think that your search party enabled Ring camera is going to be scanning all of the various license plates that drive past your house and your camera, you are kidding yourself. Ring ended up canceling its partnership with Flock literally 4 days after the Super Bowl on Thursday, February 12th. And Ring founder Jamie Siminoff said that the feature was introduced first for finding dogs. This is in the leaked email. He said it was introduced first for finding dogs, but would later be expanded to zero out crime in neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. It's
Yay.
funny, all the dystopian science fiction that we've seen and read, it all predicted this, and it's people just step willingly into it because it's going to make them money. I think
They're making the Torment Nexus.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the really interesting thing here is that they actually put it in writing.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of cases, the C-suite and the people doing the overall conceptual planning of a tech company will often say, "Yeah, we have some ideas, there are some possibilities. Right now it only works on dogs, but we're working on something in the future." Meanwhile, their proprietary information says that they're actively working to be able to identify humans. Maybe they have, again, like this has moved from things that Ring is actually doing to things that are just possible. This is not what Ring was actually doing, but like it's not that difficult to think that maybe Ring could have been seeking out some kind of partnership with not only Flock but Clearview AI for facial recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to do facial recognition because the lowest tier of that can just show you on your smartphone app, your neighbor walked by and we were able to identify your neighbor. They will make it seem really harmless by saying in a commercial, your neighbor walked by or came by the camera, rang the doorbell, you weren't home, but they left a pie on your doorstep. Wasn't that nice? And you can thank them on your way home. So what would usually happen here is they would be working on facial recognition or something. They would keep it relatively quiet. And then there would be some moment where maybe a kid goes missing
Mm-hmm.
and they like A/B tested some situation where like upload pictures of your family or something to keep everyone safe. And then the Ring camera will have found the missing child. The missing child may just be a few miles away or something, like a relatively low stakes situation that gets a lot of media press. And all of a sudden, Search Party isn't used for dogs anymore. They're like, wow, this is really useful for finding
It's the
people
Minority
too.
Report situation too. Like, hey, we can stop all crime. Just let us act before you act. Let us act on your mental impulses. Rather
Meanwhile,
than just have
DPro9
it done.
says, I'm sure raccoons already ate the pie from my hypothetical idea of a neighbor leaving a pie on your doorstep. But this is usually how it happens. They are coyer about it. They're like, oh, wow, this thing that we meant only for dogs actually works for people? That's crazy. But to put it in writing
Mhm.
very early on is an own goal. A
Well, it's also like it's the obvious, like guys. The phrase I love, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining, right? Like it's we see what's gonna happen. Okay, don't pretend that this is only limited to dogs. Oh, your technology stops at dogs, really? Because it seems like if you can recognize dogs, you can recognize anything.
which is why
It's
I
yeah,
am genuinely pleased that the
yeah,
public was like, "Oh, wait. No, this is not just for dogs." Like
yeah.
the fact that people with not just Engadget level, like
Hmm.
kind of tinfoil hat thoughts about what technology could be used for, the mildest form of tinfoil hatting. Um, but the fact that the general like cross section of people say, "Oh wow, yeah, this is probably not good, and this is could probably be connected to what's currently going on in Minnesota."
Hmm.
Good for you. Great
Good
job,
for you.
guys.
We need more of this. Like the whole Edward Snowden thing happened. I feel like it fell on deaf ears because that was a thing mostly for technology journalists and media journalists. But I remember talking to regular educated people who should know about it, had no clue about like
Yep.
the sort of
Yep.
information that was being thrown out there. So the visibility, the wider visibility, and the immediate reaction from companies, that's exactly what we should want. Um,
One last
yeah.
thing before
Mhm.
we finish up. Declan in the chat says, "How long until we can buy an anonymization subscription from door camera vendors? You don't need to buy a camera, but you can buy privacy from them." Oh, buddy, if you don't think they're already planning that.
They would love to do that, like America, especially in America, right? Like we
Yeah,
got a market, we got to
absolutely.
capitalize on everything. Do you
Like
want do you want
this
to get
is
through
the
the airport faster? Hey, we made a higher tier. Just give
yeah,
us your data and pay money, and now you don't have to deal with some airport rules, right?
which is what we've lost from some recent cyberpunk things,
Hmm.
cyberpunk media. It's not just the neon and the rain and the prosthetics and everything. It is absolute hyper capitalism
Hmm.
where you wake up and you put a quarter in the shower in order to buy yourself 5 minutes of water or something.
Hmm.
It is, um, paying your anonymization subscription. We haven't had nearly enough of that in Cyberpunk, right, recently,
Hmm.
and I think it could do with a comeback. Please, please.
I think Black Mirror has done stuff like that, like pay for basic services because the world has gone too crazy. But this all comes back to the stuff we keep talking about. We really need privacy laws. We need data protection laws. Stuff like this can't happen as easily in Europe because their regulators go insane when it comes to data privacy and things like that. And we need some of that energy. So hopefully people start to notice all this. Um, yeah, I think we will keep following the story. Hey, if you have a Ring device, maybe especially a Ring camera, probably time to start second guessing that. I know people are saying like, "Hey, all outdoor cameras are bad or all doorbell cameras are bad." I use a doorbell camera. I just don't give out that info to other people, but it is starting to look a little dicier, right? Like there was a story about the search for Savannah Guthrie's mom, and that thing is really weird, where Google was able to pull doorbell data from that camera, even though they didn't have the subscription. So law enforcement was able to say, "Hey Google, I see a camera there. You have that data somewhere, sure, right?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
even though the user didn't have that data, Google had that data. What does that mean?
So Declan says, "What about blank?" You could ask the question about what about Arlo? What about this? What about that? If it is connected to central servers,
Yeah,
that information is being stored somewhere.
yeah, it's being stored somewhere, and companies have to comply with law enforcement unless they have totally anonymized your data, and nobody does that unless it's like Apple. Apple's the one that's kind of been fighting. Um, if you have a doorbell camera, if you care about this stuff, you can get a lot of cameras that store video and data locally, and then the cops have to deal with you to get that, and they can still compel you to give up that data, but at least it's not going to the cloud, and the company's not doing it without your permission. So there's that. All right, I have a letter I'd like to read here.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and read this.
Listener mail.
Listener mail Shout out to Liz M, who sent this a while ago, and more of a comment, not really a question. But I do kind of love it. Dear Engadget podcasters, all the moves Musk makes lately are to engineer the biggest bankruptcy and bailout ever known. He's accurately betting that the US government and its puppet judicial system will prop up Starlink at all costs because it's so integral to national hegemony. So the US taxpayer will bail out its non core businesses like Tesla and X. They heard this at the Pivot podcast, and it makes perfect sense. Just like every nutty foreign aggression Trump attempts is aimed at staying in office. Hashtag follow the money. Thanks for the excellent podcast. I have not seen somebody reference the Pivot podcast ever, but okay, cool. Very
I see
cool.
clips on short form, but yeah, that's basically it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I
Yeah,
concur.
I think. I mean, I think that this is one of many possibilities. I don't think that this is their overall end goal,
Mm-hmm.
but you do have to say that Starlink is unfortunately like really important for
And
getting
it works.
internet
Like the thing is, it
access.
works, and for people in rural areas, it works.
Rural US,
Yeah.
which is a big getting internet to the rural parts of the US
Mm-hmm.
has been a big initiative for the federal government for a long time. Then you also have um Ukraine. It's running the Ukraine war. The Ukraine war is an interest to the United States, or at least was several years ago, because it's a way of keeping Russia in check. It's a way of making Russia show its hand in terms of what its military capabilities actually are. And you
Mm-hmm.
don't usually get to see that unless there's an armed conflict. So keeping Russia engaged and keeping like Ukraine propped up
Mm-hmm.
is also pretty important. I think that this is maybe like a standard deviation and a half away from where reality might be. But good God, there have been so many things that have happened in the last like 5 years, basically
Mm-hmm.
since the pandemic, that has felt some standard deviations away from what I think normal is. So it feels like anything is more possible now,
You know,
including
yeah.
engineering a um, massive bailout for Starlink and SpaceX.
Shout out to Industry on HBO, one of the best shows on TV right now. But there was a quote here from a European regulator towards an American government official that just kind of hit me in the gut because
Hmm.
it's so sharp. Quote, some here think Americans got bored of having the best lives, so they elected a narcissistic dementiac to detonate it all so that their kids might earn factory workers' wages building widgets pathetically stamped "Made in America."
Oof.
That's it. That's
Wait, okay. So was that
yeah.
from
From
industry?
from in industry the show, from a European regulator
Okay.
talking to an American like diplomat trying to like make some sort of deal happen, but it was them being like done with the American bullshit basically, and it's kind of what is happening? What is happening here? But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I throw my support behind that as well.
the show's good. Yeah.
Anyway, Devindra, what are you working on?
Hey, I'm in the process of reviewing the XPS 14, which I'm very excited about. I think I talked about it already too. It's a good looking machine, but I'm having a weird keyboard issue, so I am in touch with Dell to figure out what the heck is going on here because if I can't type on this computer, I can't fully review it, and I need to see if it's a widespread issue too. So that's the main thing. What do you have for pop culture picks, Ben?
I saw Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
I need to see this. Yeah.
And I've been excited about the possibility of seeing it since last year because I follow some people on short form video who are more connected to the movie industry, and they saw it at festivals and they were like, I don't know if this is going to get a wide release because it might not be possible for it to get a wide release. It like dances on the line of so many copyright issues, but I'm really glad it did. I saw it at I think the number 2
Mm-hmm.
um like the number 2 theater that I had that it made the most money at. It was literally like a art house theater in Toronto and the IFC Center in New York
This
City,
is
of
why the
course.
FC Center exists. Even that screen that has like 10 seats and it's just like a tiny ass little room. You go there to see the movies they will not put anywhere else. Do you know this is like the follow up to their Viceland series? This is
Yeah,
like ongoing thing.
I didn't know
Yeah,
anything about Nirvana the band. Again, this is spelled Nirvana,
not
the
the real
band.
Nirvana. Yeah.
Um, so I didn't know anything about the web series or the show on Viceland or anything. I just knew that the show existed, and I was like, okay, let me go in. The folks that I've seen who saw it on the festival circuit said, like, oh, go in blind, you shouldn't know anything about it. I'm going to give you a little bit of context.
Hmm.
These are two guys who really want to play a gig at like a very mediocre venue in Toronto. Their entire goal seems to be play a show at the Rivoli Pool Hall in Toronto. They come up with all of these cockamamie plans to get a show booked at the Rivoli. And it's never just like, we're going to call up the booking agent and see if they have some space for us. It's, we're going to do something absolutely crazy, and that will get us enough attention that the Rivoli will beg us to play there. Another important thing to know, and I think this might be the last thing, is
Hmm.
that the world that these characters live in is basically a live action cartoon.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I had some difficulty trying to understand like how I should be thinking about this, and like that went into like even the time after I saw the movie. And the thing that I settled on is, if these guys could run out onto just bare air, realize that they're on bare air like Wile E. Coyote, and then fall, it would absolutely happen.
Yeah.
There are things that happen in this movie, in the first 20 minutes of this movie, that let the viewer know anything is possible. And I'll leave it there. Go
Agreed.
see Nirvana the band, the show, the movie. If you like things that are a little bit slapstick, if you like things that are, again, like live action cartoons, I think you'll really enjoy it. There's
Mhm.
also like a weird element of like interacting with normal people.
There's like
Like,
a Borat element.
there's a
Yeah.
small Borat element,
Yeah.
but because they're Canadian, it's done very politely, and I appreciate that.
That's lovely. The other thing is, I noticed that this is from the guys who did the Blackberry movie. And I talked
Yes!
about that movie. That movie's phenomenal. So I
And
will watch
also,
the
Matt
movie.
Johnson is going to be directing the Anthony Bourdain biopic.
Oh
That's
man,
funny.
that's good energy, like the good chaotic punk energy. I guess that's
Yeah.
what you need for the Bourdain thing. But yeah, check out the Blackberry movie. I need to see Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. As for my picks, hey, catch up on industry. This has been a hell of a season. It's on season 4. It is a rare show that HBO has actually let just like simmer and cook and get better. And I talked about the first few seasons. The first season feels like, a freshman show. It feels like these writers from Oxford kind of got a chance to make a TV show and they did something really interesting. So season 2, level up.
Also, they were
Season
like
3,
29
they were
on
really young.
the first
Yeah.
season.
So like they level up every single season. Now it's like I think season 3 and this season 4 are like Succession level insanity, incredible writing, great characters. They make Jon Snow do horrific things, or at least like really, really sketchy things in this episode. It's really funny to go from the Game of Thrones spinoff to industry, where Jon Snow is up to all sorts of shenanigans.
Let's
Yeah, mhm.
it's Kit Harrington. Kit
His name is
Harrington.
Jon
He has a
Snow.
name.
His name is Jon Snow. That's how it's gonna go forever, forever. I mean, we're all waiting for his MCU movie, right? Like his character introduced in the Eternals, he picked up a sword. Surely he will be back. Surely he will return in the Avengers movies or something. So anyway, Industry is fantastic. It's on HBO Max. Check it out. And like I said, it is worth checking out. Good luck, have fun, don't die. It's Gore Verbinski's new movie, sort of an anti-AI sci-fi romp. It would actually probably make a good companion piece to Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, because it's kind of punk and chaotic as well.
Mm.
I wrote up a review in Engadget. I don't think it's as smart as it should be. I feel like there are ideas it could have. There's a lot of like old man yelling at the cloud energy, literally yelling at the cloud. But it is a lot of fun. I think
The
Gore
cloud. I
Verbinski
get it. I get it.
yelling at the cloud. Gore Verbinski is like one of the best visual stylists like we've had. I'm very sad he's been in director's jail for like a decade after A Cure for Wellness, which is a good looking movie. Um, but yeah, I love his stuff. The Ring, the Pirates movies, like even no matter what you think of the screenplays, they look amazing, and he is a great director. So this movie, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, really captures that energy. Check it out; it's in theaters now.
We're going to stick around for a little bit after we finish the end credits, but let me just do the end credits.
Mhm.
So, thanks everybody for listening. That's the end of the episode. Our theme music is by game composer Dale North. Our outro music is by our former managing editor, Terrence O'Brien. The podcast is produced by me, Ben Ellman. You can find Devindra online at
Devindra on Blue Sky and a podcast about movies and TV at the Filmcast, thefilmcast.com.
if you want to tell me about more kind of punk feeling movies that I should watch at an art house cinema, you can get at me at Hey Bellman on Blue Sky. You can also email us at podcast@engadget.com. Leave us a review on iTunes because I promise that helps. Thumbs up the YouTube live stream if you're watching there, and subscribe on anything that gets podcasts. That includes Spotify.
Dude, name Charling is asking, is it worth driving 45 minutes to see that movie? That's an easy drive. Come on.
That is an easy drive. I would always suggest that you try to make a day of it and do some other fun things in the 45 minutes, like in the vicinity of wherever the movie theater is. But I enjoyed it. I had a really good time. And I can't tell you how crazy this movie is. I need to spoil a little bit more, but like this is stuff that you don't even understand when you're watching the movie.
Yeah.
They broke into an active crime scene near Drake's house because remember in like summer 2024, like the Drake and Kendrick beef was going crazy, and then there was like a little shooting. I think like one of Drake's bodyguards was non-fatally shot in extremity or something, made a full recovery, but still like someone discharged a weapon. And this was in a neighborhood of very fancy houses where people didn't expect that. So all of the streets near there were totally cordoned off with yellow tape, and they had helicopters in the sky and everything. And the Nirvana guys were like, let's use this. So they got their people together and they shot some scenes near an active crime scene near
Way
Drake's
back then.
house.
Way back then.
Yes.
That's
And they used it in the movie.
That's perfect. How is chat doing?
Oh, okay. And dude named Charlie says that it's in Houston traffic too. So yeah, no, there's so much stuff, great stuff in Houston. I was just talking with someone at a happy hour last night about how I don't think I'd want to go to Houston any other time than like roughly this time of year because it's really hot and humid there, but tons of good Vietnamese food.
I mean, you're gonna get that's a great thing, especially like ethnic suburbs in the south and southwest. Like, yeah, you'll find amazing stuff. Oh man, did we talk about the what were the results of the Twitter files from that Tybee? Kind of nothing. I think we mentioned that, but it was also like, remember that was the like overblown nothing burger that he was working on together with Elon. Nothing happened there.
I mean, it was the general idea that like Twitter may have like suppressed some things.
Oh no.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, regarding like Hunter Biden's laptop,
Mhm.
which was basically the same playbook, I think done at the same point of the election as like Hillary Clinton's emails.
It's so
So
stupid. And meanwhile, now Elon is out there turning Twitter into like a literal like distorting the information and not
he's
adhering to his free speech beliefs at all.
turning it into short form Stormfront. Let's be real.
Short
Let's
form
be
storm
so.
front. That's basically it. That's basically it.
Yes. Okay. The Hunter Biden laptop. Let's also talk about the Trump kids, though. Let's talk about why there was a communique that involved who is it, Tulsi Gabbard, suppressing some kind of intercepted communication that Jared Kushner was on. Like, all of these people are dirty. They are all way
Yeah.
too connected to kind of shady things. You need to come back with more hard evidence, I would say.
Mm-hmm. I think we can wrap it, but thank you folks for joining. I only coughed a little bit. I'm getting there.
Reading some more headlines.
Mm-hmm.
Ring founder issues is on an apology tour to quell an outcry over privacy concerns after Ring's Super Bowl search party ad, calling it a perfect storm. You go off and do that. Please do.
Yeah. Good luck, Betty.
Last thing that I have to say, though, is Matt Taibbi may be the biggest disappointment to have graduated from my alma mater.
Disappointing in many ways, yeah.
In the sense of, like, it seemed like he was doing pretty good work, doing like pretty adversarial journalism, and then he spent a bit too much time on Twitter. It cooked his brain, and who knows where things are going from there. I have some other speculation that I won't get into on an internet live stream, but find me and buy me a drink, and I'll say some more things. It's nothing incriminating, let me say that, on live stream. It's literally just my own speculation.
All right, I think you can wrap it then.
Yep. So thanks everybody for sticking around. We love to incorporate your comments into the podcast and live stream. You remember stuff we forget. You make us smarter. Where you're a little bit of our extended mind. That's human computer interaction. OBS is by Devindra. Camera switching kind of lazily by me. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you next week.